Hi, and thanks for watching this video on how to add 100 switches to Network Insight in a quick and easy way. My name is Martijn Smit and I'm an Attack Marketing Architect for Network Insight within VMware. And I'm going to walk you through the process of how to add 100 Cisco switches to your Network Insight in a very quick way. So I'm going to be starting with downloading something called PowervRNI, and PowervRNI is a PowerShell module that actually talks to the vRealize Network Insight API. One of the options within PowervRNI is to add a data source via the command line, and we're going to be using it in order to add these 100 switches. So go ahead and download this as a zip file from this GitHub page. The link will be in the description. And once you've downloaded it, unpack it, and you will get a file structure such as this. So we've got the PowervRNI modules itself, but the reason why I wanted you to download it is because it also takes in the example scripts. So these examples are a collection of scripts that use PowervRNI functions to do something bigger than just one line. And one of these bigger items is to bulk import data sources. So we're going to be using this data source bulk import script in order to import those 100 Cisco switches. So before I actually execute the script, I want to take you through the actual script itself a little bit so you know what it does. It's always good to know what something does if you're doing something against your infrastructure. So it looks for a CSV file, and I will take you through that CSV file in a bit, but it uses that as a parameter. We are going to look through that CSV file and see the options there in a bit, but let's finish this first. First off, what it does, it checks whether that CSV file exists. It looks up a Network Insight collector ID because we need to couple the data source, the switch, to a collector. And then we actually go through the CSV file itself and set up the PowervRNI call that we actually need to do. With a data source type, we've got multiple data sources inside Network Insight, so we need to indicate which type it is. Username and password, the IP address of the switch, a nickname for it, and then the collector ID. So this script, this example also goes into how to add NSX for vSphere data sources, which has some particular options here, but we're going to skip this because we're focusing on the Cisco switch. So there's a couple of Cisco switch models that Network Insight supports. Catalyst, Nexus, so we also need to give that switch type. And then same thing we can do for the Dell switch, but again, just Cisco in this case. And then all we need is to execute this command with the parameters that we just formed. And then PowervRNI will actually add the data source to Network Insight. And lastly, we are looking at SNMP settings here as well, just in order to get the full view, the full visibility into Network Insight. So Network Insight grabs the configuration data via SSH, but it also looks at metrics data via SNMP. So we want to make sure that we actually set that SNMP community here. All right, so now let's have a look at the example CSV file. So this comes with the download, and I can actually use a module within this editor to make it a little bit more easier to read. So we've got a data source type here, such as vCenter, NSXV, Cisco switch, etc. But we'll be focusing on this one. Then we have the IP address, the credentials for it, and a nickname. And then we've got some NSX specific settings here. We're going to want to use the Cisco switch type here because we need to indicate a specific switch. And you can do the same thing for the Dell switch type. And then lastly, we are giving a SNMP community here. This is an example, so you can use this to form other bulk imports, such as a bulk import for vCenter or NSXV, etc. But I've actually formed a CSV file for the import of those 100 Cisco switches that I want to do. So let's open up the editor here again. You can see that this looks a little bit simpler because it only has the columns that we actually require. So we got the data source type, everything is going to be a Cisco switch, and then the IP address, credentials, the nickname, and then the switch type and the SNMP community. Well, you can see everything is going to be a Cisco switch. All these switches are going to be Nexus 5Ks. And the credentials and the SNMP community for all these switches are the same. So if I scroll to this is going to be 101 records. Yeah, so 100 switches. And I'm actually going to use this to add these switches to Network Insight. So let's switch over to the command prompt, and all we need is actually PowerShell installed on your laptop or machine. So I'm already in PowerShell, and the only thing that I need to do is to import the module PowervRNI. There we go. And then I need to connect to a vRealize server. So to do this, I'm using the connect vRealize server function and then provide a server username and password. Let's connect this, and then it will reach out to Network Insight and get an authorization token, which then will be used for further API queries. So now we can actually run the script. And all I need to do is to execute that script. Data source bulk import ps1, and then give it the data source CSV file as a parameter. Let's do DC networks here. So this is going to take a while because every time a data source is added to Network Insight, it actually reaches out to that data source and validates the credentials, see what type of switch it is. So it does a couple of commands on the switch. And then also when enabling SNMP, it will also test SNMP access to it. So this is going to take a couple seconds per switch. So this is going to run for a while. So I'm going to actually speed the execution up a little bit. Okay, so there we go. Now that we've finished running the script, we can actually go to the Network Insight interface and validate whether all these data sources have actually been added. And I can actually search for the IP address here. Oh, and there we go. In this case, we've got 100 data sources that match this IP address. And all of these are in the CSV file that I just added. Okay, so that's a quick video on how to add 100 switches in a very easy and quick way. Thank you for watching.